Hey guys, it's M. Outlast Trials is a damn near perfect horror action game in my eyes. It's the one horror game where I feel like I'm playing a character who really wants to survive these scenarios and is giving it their all. But I'm not here to glaze this game. Not yet, anyways. Today I really just wanted to talk about some things I'd like to see touched up on in the future. I got about 60-ish hours in the game and I'm level 49 or so. I'm not going to say I'm as qualified as a lot of these YouTubers that are already max level and all that, but I think I've played enough and played like enough of a sweat where I have a fair opinion on how all these things work. Do I think Red Barrel's going to listen to a guy with 500 subs? Probably not, but I do want to talk about these things regardless and maybe see what the general player base feels. Now I know it's weird for the infamous M cut-in to happen this early, but I gotta clarify a few things. One, this video was recorded during the Project Geister update and before this latest update, meaning some things here and there have been tweaked or changed a bit since I initially recorded this. In instances where some of the stuff I talked about has already been touched up on, I'll slide back in. But regardless, let me hand it back to past me. Psychosis is a fun and unique mechanic, but by far the weakest opposing force, I guess, to the player. Now, I think when you lose a bar or two of sanity, it's fine. Throwing off your hearing and vision is a good deterrent, as it can leave you getting fucked up by a threat you don't even notice. And with the Project Geisters update, the jump scares cost you a precious half second you'd rather not waste if you're running from someone. All this is fine. My problem is full psychosis. It's one of the best get out of jail free tools in the entire game once you get good enough. Again, with your sanity slightly bumped down, you're competing with multiple killers around the map, visual and audio distortions, traps, and a few other things. However, once you lose all of your bars, it makes it so you only have to worry about one thing, the Skinner Man. Nothing else can really hurt you in this state besides traps, and you don't need to worry about being hurt or an enemy cutting you off ahead, because no other enemies will attack you while you're like this. Sweats, me included, will sometimes just throw ourselves into the pusher or mines, as it makes certain stressful situations a lot easier, as it throws a lot of core concepts of the game out the window. I like the concept of Skinner Man, he's just far too weak. You easily can outrun him, and even in the rare cases where he does hurt you, he doesn't do a ton of damage. For example, on Intense, pretty much everything hits you for 2 bars or so. The only things that don't are the smaller average freaks around the map. Skinner Man, an enemy who only shows up if pretty much everything has gone wrong, often can't even get a full health bar off of you. Meaning on higher difficulties, you're practically incentivized to go full psycho, as he does far less damage than everybody else and you can more than likely regenerate his damage without even needing a healing item. What would I propose? I think Skinner Man should be a ramp up threat. Let him start off the way he does now, but the longer you're in Psychosis, the stronger and faster he gets. After staying in Psychosis a certain length, he'd become faster than you, making it so avoiding damage from him is nigh impossible if you can't find an antidote fast enough. This way he's a proper punishment for falling into this state, and it pushes you into running something like Antitoxin to avoid him chasing you at full speed. So it goes from a perk I feel is rarely used, to a decent choice if you're someone who wants those mechanics eased up on. Skinner Man, funnily enough, was buffed again in this last patch. So now instead of only having jump scares and following you around, he'll now spawn these tentacles that pop out of the floor in front or nearby you that will immediately knock you out of whatever you're doing. They aren't that much of a problem if you're simply outlasting Psychosis by running around, but if you're only doing it to, as past me said, get objectives done, it will be significantly harder to do so with this change. I think the hypothetical change that I suggested of Skinner Man getting faster and stronger over time would make him more of a threat overall, but this is a solid counter to everyone, me included, who just love to intentionally get Psychosis to get harder objectives done without worrying. Lockpicks are fairly pointless in this game, and I never feel a need to use them. It's to the point I'll only hold one in my inventory if nothing else is available. Now, part of an issue is you have to give up an item slot that can hold an item that's way more applicable in more common scenarios to an item that can only help you if you find a locked box. But the other problem is what's in those locked boxes often isn't good enough for you to haul these lockpicks around. Let's look at the possible rewards you can get from these, right? In utility boxes, you can either get a small or large battery or a rig recharge. These are all things you can stumble upon normally. And honestly, unless the lockbox is found right next to the lockpick, you probably would have found these things while searching for something to open. The medic boxes is where they get better. From them, you can get bandages, small and large health drinks, antidotes, and adrenaline. The main thing of importance is the large health drink, as you can't get these anywhere else normally except the confidential rooms. So in total, we have one exclusive item that can be found in lockboxes, and that isn't even guaranteed. And more often than not, you'll find enough healing around the map that you won't need them. The change I'd propose is that these lockboxes are guaranteed to give you 2 large batteries or 2 large healing juices. It might sound strong, and to an extent it is, but these aren't the craziest, most overpowered items in the game to begin with. and they also have to compete with bottles or bricks. The alternative solution that I would say is add a small chance for a booster of any type to spawn inside as the second item, but each map can only have one of each type of booster. This would incentivize checking them at least for the chance to find one, and would make X-Ray slightly better as it could scout out these things without wasting a resource. This suggestion of 2 large health drinks is a bit insane, looking back on it. Originally I was going to come back just to denounce this individual suggestion, but now that we have the jammer rig, the situation's kinda changed again. Jammer allows you to pretty much have an always active free lockpick on hand, while also giving you a lot of other utility. I could probably glaze this rig on its own, but it sort of makes this guaranteed 2 big full heals thing even more ridiculous, as people with jammer could score clusters of full heal bottles. I still stand by the fact that the booster idea could be a good addition, but for this 2 bottle thing, nah, I don't think that would work. Door traps and grapplers. I think these are fine for the most part. They won't catch you if you're paying attention, but will catch you if you aren't. My only issue with them is if they catch you in a chase, you flop down in front of the killer and they just watch you struggle to get out of the thing. The entire interaction feels unnatural because, well, they politely stand there and wait for you to finish so they can continue the chase. I feel in these scenarios, whoever is chasing you should push the grappler or trap off of you and get a free hit. The trap would be a bit worse to get caught by than the grappler, as you'd still lose a bar of sanity and they'd get a free hit off. The grappler wouldn't need any little bonus like that, as they're far harder to recognize in a chase than door traps are. So they'd get immediately shoved off by the chaser and be nulled aside from the initial stun. Custom missions. This isn't a feature at all, and I'm really upset it isn't. We have so many modifiers in this game, it would be cool if we could set them on whatever mission we want and play through. It let us see what a lot of these do for one, but for those challenge seekers, it would let us see how much we could push ourselves. A mode or feature like this would have to be balanced, of course, so I'd have to imagine you'd either get no experience points from it, or it works something like Ultimate Custom Night, where the more modifiers you have on, the more experience you would get as a reward. I feel all the means to add something like this are there, so it's not that much of a stretch. Last thing, and a significantly lesser thing at that, please add a Skinnerman themed outfit. We got one for Futterman in the Geister update, and I really expected one for the Skinnerman since it's technically his update, but we didn't get one, so, you know, come on guys, slip us one in the future or something. To wrap up, I think the way the game's going is fine, and I'm grateful for everything we got. Just these are some small things I'd love to see in the future. Feels like I need to point that out, since on YouTube I feel like we've hit this "if you have a complaint, you need to be fully negative" meta. But anyways, those have just been my thoughts. What do you guys think? As long as you're respectful, I'm glad to discuss with you in the comments, and I've been in, and I am out.